Okay, welcome back to the channel everyone. Something a little bit different this week. If you're planning a trip to Thailand and you're trying to decide which of the islands to visit, because let's face it, time is short and you've come all the way to Thailand, you want to make sure that you visit the best islands possible. Well, I've been to all of the top 20 most visited islands in Thailand, and so I thought today we could rank them, put them in a good old tier list and debate together. What are the best islands in Thailand? So let's begin. So when it comes to how I rank the islands, we've got 5 tiers. S tier is the best and D tier is the worst. But that doesn't mean if you are an island on the D tier list that it's the worst island in Thailand or anything. These are all fantastic destinations. These are all beautiful islands. It's just, in my opinion, some will be higher ranked than others. When it comes to deciding how to rank, I've decided to judge them on how easy it is to get there, how much money does it cost once you're on the island, and then just the general vibe in general, like what things are there to do and how does it feel when you're there. And that's it. That's basically how we're going to rank them. If you disagree or agree with me in this video at any point, please let me know in the comments and I'd love to debate with you in the comment section below. Okay, so let's start with the top 5 big heavy hitters, the top 5 most visited islands in Thailand. Let's begin right there. So obviously the most visited island in Thailand is Phuket, and that is going straight in on the D tier list. I'm so sorry Phuket, but listen, I'm literally, honest to God, I'm flying to Phuket today. After I finish this video, me and my girlfriend, we're going down to Phuket. We're having a weekend away. It's so convenient to fly down there. We've got a lovely hotel booked and we're going to be visiting some of my friends. And I go to Phuket quite often, but it's coming on the D list for me because even though we go there quite often, it's just very convenient with the international airport. But it's so overpriced, it's double, triple the price of every other island in Thailand. I actually tell people Phuket feels like a different country because it's so much more expensive. The taxis, the grabs, the food, the hotels. It's a big island, so trying to get across from one side to the other is going to cost you a fortune. And it's just overcrowded, overpopulated, overdeveloped. And yes, there are beautiful parts of the island in the north and in the south. Phuket Old Town is actually really nice when it's not absolutely rammed. But if you ask me, Phuket is clearly a D-list island. Next up is Koh Samui, one of the biggest islands in Thailand, and it's going straight in on the C tier. I'm sorry Koh Samui, you used to be an S tier, you used to be my favorite island, but every time I've gone back recently over the past few years, it's just too busy, it's too overcrowded, overdeveloped, and it's kind of lost its magic. Of course, when I was there at its peak was during the COVID times when the whole island was quiet. And so I keep going back to rediscover my love for the island, but I can't find it on every visit. And I've found much better islands that are much higher on this tier list that I'll get to in a minute that I much prefer going to now. It's still a lovely island and I'll keep going back, but on this particular ranking list, you're on the C list. Koh Phi Phi is another one on the top 5 and it's going in on the B tier because if you go at the right time of year and at the right time of day and explore Maya Bay and see where they filmed the beach, you'll see the baby sharks and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, okay? But if you go at the wrong time of day when all of the day trips come over from Phuket, Koh Lanta and other areas, it just gets overwhelmed with tourists, especially in Maya Bay. The island itself suffered obviously with the tsunami, but they've rebuilt it back to its former glory in a way. But you know, you still arrive and you see the McDonald's and the Burger King, and it's quite cramped and it's a bit dirty. And when it's overcrowded, it's quite difficult to be on. But like I said, when the sunsets happen, when you're there and you find a quiet bay and you go to the Phi Phi Islands at the right time of day, at the right time of year, it is absolutely beautiful. So for that reason, it can't go any higher for me than a B tier. The 4th most visited island is Koh Phangan, and I'm actually going to put that on the A tier. Home to the full moon party and a big hub for backpackers, it can be very crowded and feel very not like you're in Thailand, let's just put it like that. But if you're not there during full moon or you're just anywhere else on the other parts of the island, you can find zen, you can find peace, you can find incredible nature, hiking, waterfalls, quiet little beaches, beautiful resorts, and a great ecosystem. And it's a beautiful island. It's got a big place in my heart, but there are certain few things that let it down and it can't quite reach an S tier. It's a beautiful island and it has a bad reputation, but I love it. And so the 5th most populated island is Koh Lanta. Now Koh Lanta is a difficult one because when I went, it was very quiet, it was during COVID, and I kind of had a mixed experience. But if I reflect on my time there, it really is quite a big island with a lot to do, a lot to see. It's got a cult following. People who go to Koh Lanta, people who live on Koh Lanta, people who travel to Thailand and visit Koh Lanta, they love it. And I can see why. So I'm gonna go back and give it another try, but because I can't say for certain, I'm going to put it on the C tier list. So those are the most visited islands. So let's now get on to the next section, which are the islands that get drips and drabs of tourists. Still, some of them get a lot, some of them get hardly any, but they're all equally beautiful and have their own magic. Now obviously when you're planning a trip to Thailand, there'll be many questions running through your head. How do I get to these islands? Where can I stay? What can I do when I'm there? Well, you can find all of the answers to those questions plus many more on today's video sponsor. Klook is an all-in-one platform that helps make travel really easy, whether it's on desktop on their website or on the app on your phone. Take this sunset cruise around Phuket, for example, on the Promtep Cape, a beautiful part of the island, and you can book to go on a catamaran, sail around the beautiful rocks and coastline of southern Phuket during sunset, have a few drinks, have dinner on board, and it's all available to book on Klook. Or maybe on Koh Tao, you want to have a private long-tail boat for the day to take you out snorkeling and show you the beaches. You can pre-book that on Klook. Or maybe you want to go to Koh Lipe, but you're not quite sure how to get there from the mainland. Well, you can book the speedboat right here on Klook. Honestly, all of the things that you would ever need in terms of planning your trip to Thailand, you can find right here on Klook. So download the app or visit klook.com today and start planning your trip. And if you use my affiliate link in the description or the pinned comment below, you'll actually unlock some special discounts. Thank you to Klook for sponsoring this video. Koh Tao is the next one, and I'm struggling to think where to put Koh Tao because it's got a big place in my heart. I've been there many times. I learned to scuba dive there. I went back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and I keep going back. The only problem is the speed ferry to get there can be awful, especially if the weather's bad, and it's quite small, so there's not a whole lot to explore, but the sunsets, the vibe, the bars, the scuba diving. I'm gonna put Koh Tao on the A tier. I think it is a fantastic island, and it is beautiful, but it's a bit overrun, a bit overcrowded at times. That might be much higher or lower than you were expecting, but Koh Tao is a great place. It just, I don't know, it can be a bit difficult to get to, it can be quite expensive, and it can be a bit overcrowded because it's so small. Next up is Koh Chang, one of the biggest islands, one of my favorite islands as well. I'm gonna put it on C tier list because even though it is so big, it is an island of two halves. One side is very built up, lots of restaurants, lots of hotels, and it can feel very touristy. And then the other side, there's just not enough going on. And in the interior, you've got beautiful nature, waterfalls and things like that. I don't know, there's just something about Koh Chang that I really think they need to finish that road so you can actually drive around it, because exploring the island is quite difficult, because if you drive on a motorbike you have to turn all the way and drive all the way back. There isn't a complete loop. There's a few things that let Koh Chang down, but it is gorgeous, so that's why it's a little bit higher than Phuket. Next up is Koh Samet, an island I just recently visited, and this is going straight in as our first S tier island. I absolutely loved Koh Samet. Yes, there are lots of tourists, especially during the daytime on day trips from Bangkok, but they all kind of stay in one area, and that area gets overrun, overcrowded. So you just go to the other parts of the island, and it's small, it's easy to navigate, it's really rustic, it's very traditional. You've got quiet little beaches with wooden bungalows for quite cheap. Then you've got 5-star resorts on their own private bays, which you could go on a honeymoon or a special occasion trip. And snorkeling is incredible, views are amazing, sunset's incredible. Love Koh Samet. S tier for sure. Next up is Koh Mannurk, and I'm gonna put this S tier as well. I just went there actually and loved it. A private island, but it's reasonably affordable. Around about $150 to $300 per night, depending on which room you choose, but you have your own island. There will be 30, maybe 40 people on the island, maybe 50 if it's really busy. But you've got hiking, you've got kayaking, you've got fishing, you've got relaxing. It's absolutely paradise, and they give you a free transfer there and back on a beautiful vessel. Koh Mannurk is a very underrated, unknown island. So as with all of the islands on this video, check the description, you can watch the full-length videos of my experiences there. Koh Mannurk is S tier for sure. Koh Yao Noi is going in, again S tier, 3 in a row, which is quite strange, but Koh Yao Noi is a beautiful tropical paradise, and it is still capturing the essence of what it is like to be in Thailand. It's nowhere near as built up and touristy as neighbouring Phuket and Koh Phi Phi, and yet for some reason it's less visited. I recently took my family there. We stayed in a beautiful villa on basically a private beach, and we cycled around the island. There are villages, there are fishing towns, there are mountains, there are little waterfalls, loads of beaches, great culture and history, and just a real friendly atmosphere. And it's S tier. Next up, Koh Lipe. Koh Lipe is a funny one because it's arguably the most beautiful island in Thailand. It just looks like the Maldives. So I'm gonna go high, but I'm gonna keep it at B tier just because it is, again, quite difficult to get to. A long, bumpy speedboat ride, which in bad weather will be awful. And then there's not heaps to do. There's snorkeling, you can go on a boat trip, there's a few things to do, but really you're just relaxing. Sunsets are incredible, sunrises are beautiful, but it's just lacking a few things to do, in my opinion, and it's quite small, and you can't really do much other than, yeah, just like I said, have a quiet, relaxing trip, which might be perfect for you, but for me, it's a B tier island. Koh Kradan, an island you might not know of, but it's going in on the A tier. It's probably one of the most beautiful islands in the country, but it just lacks having more things to do other than just relaxing at the beach. If you want a white sand, turquoise, clear, crystal, beautiful sea, ocean, beach type thing, right? This is where you should go, Koh Kradan. Honeymoons and romantic weekends away. If you just want to soak up the sun and enjoy paradise, go to Koh Kradan, but it's just lacking in things to do in comparison. Obviously, Koh Kradan has a few activities. You probably could organize a fishing trip and go on a boat trip and visit the other islands nearby. But yeah, it's a beautiful island. A tier list for me. Next up is Koh Muk. Koh Muk is going in again, A tier. It's got the Emerald Cave, which is one of the most beautiful natural wonders. If you're staying on Koh Muk, you can go and enjoy that before the day trips arrive from Koh Lanta and other places and have it practically to yourself. And it's got this gorgeous spearhead beach and some really local fishing village type atmosphere. And just around the island is lots of seagrass, which attracts Thailand's biggest population of dugongs. They kind of look like manatees, and you can go on a little trip and see them. You can't swim with them or anything. There is a hike to the viewpoint, there is fishing, there is snorkeling trips, there is the beautiful dugongs and Emerald Cave, and it's really local, very affordable, and reasonably easy to get to. So yeah, next up, not too far away from Koh Muk actually, is Koh Ngai, a beautiful island with only a few places to stay, like bungalows, and there's a few resorts, so it is quite limited in that sense. And during the daytime, around about lunch, lots of boats will come in on island hopping tours, and they can be quite loud and ruin the vibe just for a few hours. I don't have a video on it, but I have been there. In fact, I'll make sure to go make a video there because it's one of those places that I normally don't make a video about. There are a few islands I haven't made a video about on purpose, and it's going in up there as a solid B tier, just because, yeah, it's quiet and it's a bit laid back for some. Somewhere that's not that laid back, but is surprisingly really nice, is Koh Larn. Now, Koh Larn is just off the coast of Pattaya. So, good and bad news. The good news is, if you're there, if you're staying on the island, the mornings are gorgeous, the afternoons, the sunsets are amazing, and you get the island all to yourselves most of the time during the evenings, you know, restaurants and hotels. But during the day, all of the speedboats from Pattaya come over. So for that reason, it's probably a D tier, but it is really beautiful, and I do actually like Koh Larn. But during the day, it can get completely overrun. So for that reason, it's way down there, in my opinion. Let me know if you disagree. Koh Phayam. This is a real hidden gem. Not many people know about this. but it's kind of in, is it Rayong, right? Rayong, yeah, Rayong province, just above Phuket basically. You keep going north through Phang Nga, and it's a real laid back, beautiful island. Very, very laid back. You've got cashew nut trees, beautiful white sand, quirky little bars, a real seasonal island. It gets battered by the monsoon and basically shuts for 6 months of the year, but when it is open and when it is gorgeous, it's really, really, really underrated. It's one of those islands I haven't made a video about because I love it so much, and I will go make a video there eventually. So for me, Koh Phayam, strong A tier, strong, almost an S tier, almost. Next up, Koh Kood. So Koh Kood for me, I love Koh Kood. What a paradise, what a tropical paradise. Lots of beautiful beaches, loads of nice resorts, not many restaurants, but it is ridiculously beautiful. Not much to do, but there's more to do there than other islands. Koh Kood is going in A tier for me. That's my opinion. Let me know if you disagree. Should it be higher? I love this island. Koh Mak. Koh Mak to me is the definition of tropical paradise. It's just really, really, really interesting place. It's got some incredible beaches, it's got some incredible experiences, but every time I recommend people to go there, their main issue is it's a bit boring. And I feel like a lot of people go to Koh Mak after they've been to Koh Kood or after they've been to Koh Chang. And so in comparison, it is very quiet, maybe feels a bit lonely, but I like it there. And if you're going somewhere that has just enough things to see and do to keep you busy once a day for a few hours, you could spend a week there and really relax and settle in. So I'm gonna put Koh Mak A tier. I love Koh Mak. If there was just a few more things to do and a few more restaurants, it would be a cheeky little S tier for me. There are 2 islands left, and the first one is the Similan Islands, which is actually a group of, I think it's 9 islands out in the Andaman Sea. Very difficult to reach to. You have to go on a long boat trip there and back. You can't stay on the island unless you're camping, so most people go on a speedboat or a snorkeling trip or just to visit the national park, and you go to a few spots, you have lunch and you go back. It's one of the most ridiculously beautiful places in the world. So it's up there on its day as the most beautiful place in Thailand, but getting there is really hard. Getting back can be difficult. I only went on a fishing trip around the islands, and we were there for 2 nights, living on board, fishing and catching fish, and we would sort of moor at different parts of the national park and fish out to sea, and then moor back to nearer the islands themselves, and it was an incredible experience. The most beautiful sunset of my life was there. So for me, because it's difficult to get to and you can't stay there, I mean, it has to go down as a D tier. But it like I said, it can be incredible, but you can't base a trip around going to the Similan Islands. It's basically a day trip or a fishing trip kind of place. But yeah, absolutely beautiful, none the same. And finally, Koh Wai. Now this little tiny piece of paradise has 2 or 3 places to stay, 2 or 3 restaurants, and that's it. But picture perfect paradise. I've made a whole video about how beautiful it was. I stayed in that wooden cabin with the blue wooden doors out the front, and I just sat there for 3 days and switched off. Very little connection, so you get Wi-Fi at the restaurant maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. Good place to switch off. Not much to do, but again, it's incredible. For me, it's a solid B tier. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at all of these islands. Phuket, Koh Larn and the Similan are my D list, and Koh Samet, Koh Mannurk, Koh Yao Noi are my S tier. Wow, that's interesting. I think this might be a little bit controversial, some of my decisions, but this is all just based on my experiences and my opinions. If you visit one of these S tier islands, it might be the worst island for you. You might have a terrible time. Depends on the weather, it depends on your mood, it depends on what was going on that particular day. And again, if you go to my D tier islands, Phuket for example, you might absolutely love it. Phuket, by the way, is people's favorite island or their worst. It's never going to be in the middle. And like I said at the beginning, all of these beautiful islands are great locations and you'll have a great time on all of them. But as you can see from my experience and my opinion, some rank higher than others. Let me know in the comments. I would love to debate with you what you think are S tier and what you think are D tier. And of course, there are quite a few islands, quite a lot of islands that didn't make this list, but I just decided to keep it the top 20 most visited and just, yeah, keep it basic. Plus, I've been to all of these islands. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this fun, light-hearted, relaxing video midweek on the channel. Big adventure coming on Saturday as usual, but yeah, I had to do this because I thought it'd be fun, laid back, and just, yeah, nice to sort of have a debate about the islands of Thailand, because I'm sure this is going to stir up a little bit of interaction and engagement below. So I'll see you in the comments. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.